All right. So we're going to start out making the pattern for our ballet flat. So we talked about this step in class, which was taping it, drawing it on, getting our feather edge line there, getting our center line here in the front and the back and our framing lines, and drawing on our final design. Once we have that done, we're ready to start the pattern. So here's what we do from that point. Here's just show you where we're going with this. This is insole board or Texon board, which they have in the studio. You can use something thick like thick cardboard or cardstock if you don't have that, just to get the experience. Okay, this is the upper. So the upper is one piece from the back seam all the way around on a traditional ballet flat to the seam here. On the inside, this would be the lining. So there is one piece starting from here, going all the way around to this seam on the other side. So that's the second piece. Point number 3 is here on the inside, and this is the counter pocket. And then, so you basically have 4 pieces that make up the upper. If you talk about a sole, that would be a 5th piece. So this is what we're gonna start to build, so you can figure out how to construct this. All right, so here we go. From this point, what we're gonna want to do is remove this taped upper design pattern from the last. All right, in order to do that, you're gonna need a sharp blade. I use a X-Acto. It's not a box cutter, kind of similar to that, but you see how the edge is more pointed, it's more angled, it's more for precision and not for breaking down boxes or something like that. All right, so here, what we wanna do, you never wanna have too much blade out. Too much blade leaves it to wiggle around, which is dangerous. You wanna have the blade retracted so that you have more control over your cuts. Okay, so here what we're gonna do is first remove this top piece, and I'm cutting right along. You don't need a whole lot of pressure when you're doing this. And you're cutting right along the line that you drew. And I'm actually gonna take my blade in one more notch here. And you're not putting a lot of pressure here. You're being very careful because the blade can slip if you put too much pressure. And also remember, you're only cutting through tape with a razor blade, so it's really not that hard to do. A little bit of pressure will do it. And I'm cutting all the way around here. Okay, once I get to the back, I'm gonna lift up this area. And if you've cut all the way through your tape like you should have, this should all come off and leave you with a clean edge here. Okay, all right, once you have that, we're gonna remove all of the excess pieces. So we also need to remove everything on the inside of our center line. So I'm gonna raise this up a little bit here. All right, here, and I'm gonna hold this, and you should be sitting down when you do this, not standing up like I am, but again, I'm trying to give you a good view of this. And I'm cutting down the center line on a little bit onto the bottom face here, just so I cut all the way through that line. And what I'm going to also do is cut around the bottom edge, right on the feather edge, all the way through my tape. And you need to be very careful, again, when you're doing this, you're not using a lot of pressure, because again, you're just cutting through tape. Okay, taking your time and cutting here. You're really just using the tip of your blade to cut through this. Okay, and you can see here I'm cutting right on the feather edge. You also see I'm making a continuous cut. Once I put my blade in, I really don't want to take it out and start another cut. It's hard to find your place where you start and stop, so I kind of train myself to not pick it up once I start cutting it, okay? And I'm cutting all the way clean to the other side of the tape. Now always remember, you taped from the front to, you taped from the back moving towards the front. So when you remove your tape, you need to remove your tape from the back to the front so that it doesn't come apart. Okay, so we've cut all the way through that. So now what we can do is go ahead and remove this section everything on the inside of our line that we cut through. And that should come off and give you a clean line. And then we're gonna remove everything here on the bottom face. So again, you just kind of pick up that corner in the back. And once you do that, you should start to be able to peel this off. If you peel from the front to the back, it will all come apart in different pieces. Okay. Got it. So we've cleaned off the bottom face, we've cleaned off the top here. Now we need to make this cut and take off everything to the inside of the line here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. Again, you be very careful when you're doing this. Take your time. I'm holding it very steady on the table and cutting down the center line. Again, not too much pressure. You don't need to try to dig all the way into the last. You just need to cut through the tape, which is not very thick or very hard. Keeping my blade in once I start to make a cut. Take your time when you're coming over this edge because it can slip. Finishing the cut there, and then I'm going to remove everything here from the top going down to the bottom. Okay, great. So now we're going to be ready to peel this off. We have the inside, this clear, and this clear, just leaving us our pattern that we drew on. And this is what we are going to go ahead and start to prepare so we can take this off of the last. All right, when you peel this off of the last, same thing, you're going to start in the back and peel your way this way forward very slowly. Just get the bottom corner up. And you can see here, because you've taped correctly with each piece of tape laying over each other, here you can see how close they are. Everything's going to stay together as I peel this off. Nice and slowly. Okay, this corner has a tendency to kind of stick, but I'm going to peel that down. All right, peeling the whole thing off. All the way down to the toe and have that off. So you can take your last, put it off to the side. So if you look at this, you'll see that this is not flat. It has a lot of curvature because we took it off of something that was curved. So we took the tape that was flat, put it onto something curved, and naturally it wants to curl. It wants to curl up and curve up. Okay, so what we're gonna have to do with this is take this and stick it down to a piece of oak tag. And we'll do that in the next video.